Yo, what's up guys? It's your boy Crossy, and in today's video we're going to be talking about how to make a good and clickable YouTube thumbnail. As you can see in the background, I created this YouTube thumbnail from scratch, and you would be surprised how easy it is to make a finished product like this. Without further ado, let's get started.
Fun 5.
In this example, I'm going to be using an Apex example because I'm playing Apex and I usually create thumbnails that include characters from Apex and the background, so it is the easiest way for me to explain what and how we need to do. So first of all, we're going to find a background. For this instance, we can choose Storm Point Apex, which is the new map, and we're going to choose a background that is potentially a part of the map, this one right here. We need to make sure that we select an image that has a resolution higher than our canvas, which I'm going to be showing you later. Save this image. Another thing we will need is a character. I'm going to choose a character from a game because she's the new character. Choose a picture that is high quality and will fit into our picture nicely. There we go. And because there is still a background on this picture, I'm going to go on to remove background, because I know that for my thumbnail I need Ash without a background. So what I'm going to do is upload an image. I need to choose Ash, and we can just download the normal version. You can download the HD version if you sign up to the website or log in if you already have an account. But for now, we can just download this, and it is basically the same picture just without a background. After we had these two, we basically have everything that we need to create a good thumbnail. So in this instance, I'm going to be using Photoshop because this is what I'm used to, or you can use Canva or any other software that you prefer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new file because I have it saved. I'm going to just click on saved and select the thumbnail. Make sure to select these dimensions and select the resolution of 72 pixels per inch. You don't need more. Make sure to have orientation and landscape, and everything else pretty much can stay the same. Click create. After we've done this, unlock the background. I'm not too sure if this is essential or not, but this is how it always works for me, so I always unlock the background and create a new layer. Onto the new layer, I'm going to drag the image across and make sure it covers the whole canvas. You can adjust it to your liking. For this video, I quite like it this way. Make sure you always hit this tick here to place it and actually leave it there. If you're happy with the placement of the picture, make sure to click on this layer of the background and click Control M. It'll bring up a window like this. All we want to do now is make sure that we create look curve with 2 points, one above the line, one below the line, something like this. This will give the image a nice contrast and lower the brightness a little bit. Click OK. That is our background pretty much set. To deselect the layer, make sure to create a new one. I'm going to be using the brush tool. As you can see, the brush tool is quite large, so all we want to do is make sure that we select the soft round brush to decrease the hardness onto 0% and increase the size onto 800%. I recommend you type in 800 instead and click OK. That will make the brush size like this, and all we want to do now is select a white color and drag the brush all the way to the edge, the top left corner, and just click once so it gives it a little bit of a light in the corner. Let's see it again. That's perfect. And the other corner as well. Absolutely amazing. The next layer is going to be pretty much the same, but we're going to be using a different color but the same brush. You need to make sure that we click on the background layer and then create a new layer so that the light is always on top. We can call this layer light, so we always know that that layer needs to stay on the top. We can call this one dark. Clicking on the dark layer, we want to make sure to select the black color, as this will give us a nice shadow in the corners and the sides. And again, as you want to proceed is clicking and holding and making sure to create a nice layer on the sides and the bottom of the background. Don't worry, this will not look anything like this, because what I want you to do is double click on the layer and make sure in blending options you decrease the opacity anywhere in between 25 and 35. That is completely up to you. You hit OK. That should sort out the background completely, and from here we can move on with adding the character and the text. So after this, we will create a layer on top of the dark layer, again, keeping the light on top. We can name this layer Ash, as this is going to be the layer when we drag in Ash into our picture. Again, resize her, position her the way you want it. If you want it, I would recommend always keeping the character facing towards the text, because Ash is looking towards the right, but we need her to be on the right side. All we want to do is place her down, make sure to tick this, and if we go onto edit, transform, and flip horizontal, that will turn Ash facing the opposite side. To do this transform, you need to make sure your actual Ash layer is selected. So now, because Ash is a very similar color as the background is, what I like to do to make the character pop out and stand out from the background is double click on the layer, make sure to select outer glow, and immediately after selecting that, it will create this outer glow to the character itself. After this, you can choose how much of an outer glow you want the character to have by increasing or decreasing the opacity, or increasing and decreasing the noise. Clicking on this little square here, we can select the preferred color of the outer glow, and for now, because there is some green in the background and majority of the background is blue, I'm just going to select a green outer glow. That is perfect. We can also increase the elements of the outer glow by increasing the spread, which will make it thicker, or the size, which will also make it bigger. I'm just going to leave it like this because I'm happy with this. And after clicking on OK, that should give us Ash. That is awesome. I like this. This looks very good. Now it's time for the text. So what we're going to do is select the Ash layer, because again, we want to keep the light on top. Select the Ash layer, create a new layer, and we're going to select the text tool, and we want to make sure to create a text window. In this instance, we're going to go with two separate fonts. I'm going to show you why. And one of them is going to be called Top Tips. Going to decrease this window so that we have the top tips as it is. We want to make sure to click the little tick, and if we click B on the keyboard, that should select our move tool, and that way we can increase the text. I find it the easiest that way. What I'm going to be doing is keeping the top tips here, and on top of this layer I'm going to create a new layer and add another text right here. Going to change the font straight away onto something that's a little bit bolder, that is a little bit easier to read, but yet simple, because you already have a fancy text here. So I'm just going to go with one of my favorites, and that is going to be impact. Now we want to select the whole text again and type in top tips storm point. We want to decrease the low window because it doesn't really matter to us how big that window is, as long as the whole text fits into it. And we want to make sure we click the tick, and again with the V on the keyboard we can select the move tool and increase this as much as we want. So if you want to move the text above because you're not happy with where it stands, as I'm not happy with this, I'm just going to select the layer and then drag the text. Usually Photoshop helps you align it in the middle and with a reasonable distance. That is perfect. For the next tip, we're going to go onto the top tips layer, and this layer I'm going to use a very much trending color on YouTube thumbnails. That is this gradient overlay of orange turning into a yellow, which makes this goldish effect. If you don't have this gradient overlay already set up, the way you can do it is making sure to select the gradient overlay, click on it so it's selected, going to turn into a different gray. Make sure the blend mode is normal, the opacity is 100, and make sure the gradient is this orange here. So this usually is the gradient that we want, but I have edited that a little bit. I'm happy with that. Actually, this is the way. I'm happy with this. All we want to do now is click on drop shadows, and right here we can play with this a little bit, and it's always going to take a while to get used to what each and every of these do to the actual shadow. And that does it for the top tips. Let's move on to Storm Point by double clicking it, making sure we can always just select the color here, turn it into white, quite like this. Alternatively, we can always give it a color overlay and then choose white. It does basically the same thing. After this, we can choose whatever we want, but I like these two combinations. It's always worked for my videos. They always look good, so I'm just going to keep it as it is, but I want to make sure that I drop a shadow again. If we want, we can even make it look in the shape of the letters. We can always choose a different color of the actual shadows, and if we do that, we can also play along with the distance and maybe even increase the spread a little bit, and that will give it a nice basically outer glow. So when you're playing with the angles, you can see on the right hand side here how it will look like, because unless you actually release the button, it will not show you on the actual screen. But on the right hand side, you can see as you're moving the angle, you can see how and what it will look like. You can increase the opacity of the shadows. I just want to keep it somewhere around 80, so it's like a little bit transparent as well. I want to make sure the distance is just back on 0, because I like this kind of like an outer glow effect. If you wish to add more text, so if I've created top tips here with this font and Storm Point with this font, I usually create another text with the same exact font that I used in the first text box. I'm going to be using again this font for the next text. And let's say we want to add season 11, make sure to select, and we can put season 11 here. And once again, we're just going to do double click, gradient overlay, and that'll select instantly whatever we last used basically. We can again add drop shadows, just keep this on black. If you're not happy with the shadows, you can always select the layer. So let's say we're not happy with these shadows and we want to make them a little bit stronger. You can always select the layer, right click on it, and click rasterize layer style. If we click on that, it should make this as a default layer. And if we click again, we can all over again add a drop shadow, which then again you can play with, make it a little bit bigger so that it basically covers. So if we keep it like this, and size, this will make the whole thing pop even more by creating a nice little shadow. I am actually happy with this, and I'm going to leave it as it is. I would always choose a text that has a catchy title to it and a character always on the screen, or an object that is in the video preferably, so that way when people see the thumbnail, they almost instantly know what it's waiting for them in the video. Make sure when you're finished, you click File, Export. I like to export it as PNG, but you can always export as something else. So you select the format that you want. I like to keep it PNG, keep everything as it is, and just click Export. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. This is the easiest and most efficient way of creating YouTube thumbnails. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you all. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you want to support me directly, please make sure to subscribe onto my channel and to check out my Twitch account where I'm streaming every week at least 3 times. I'm playing first-person shooter games primarily, but I have been lately dipping in and out of New World, which is really enjoyable, and I can't wait to see you all in my next stream.